Congratulations, UCLA. Dominated the game, basically, and obviously the score dictated there. The score showed that, excuse me. So, questions?
Gary, what can you say in the locker room after something like that?
Well, there's a lot of things to say. You know, we got to sit back and look and understand the situations that we're in. I think we definitely took some steps backwards, and a lot of different ways today that I talked to him about it, but I don't think that's for this moment. We need to continually work to grow up and handle some situations that we have inside our football team that's nobody's business that's here right now, and we'll see if guys want to continue to move forward or not.
Do you feel that you guys competed today?
Yeah, I think they competed. You know, we got in some bad spots, so we got down to having two corners in there, and that's a factor at times. But again, nobody cares about any of that stuff. And do I think they competed? Yes. I'm going to sit back and watch the film. Did we play well? Absolutely not.
Gary, how do you hold up in a situation like this? You know, a loss like that?
How do I hold up?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you know, I love my job and I love the fight that we're in. And today this fight got a whole bunch tougher. And without question, it's not where you wanted to be. And with 3 games now that we have left, and I enjoy the fight I'm in every single day. I'll continue to bounce back, but you know, it's a struggle right now for everybody. It's a struggle for every kid in that locker room. It's a struggle for every fan. It's a struggle for every coach. I understand all those struggles, and you know, it's easy to jump off the ship, but I'm not jumping off the ship. But I will never change from demanding that a team is learning how to be disciplined and learning how to carry themselves in a professional manner, because that's how football games are won. And we have got a ways to go with some people on our team in that situation. So we'll just keep trying to fix it.
Nick played with a lot of boys the first couple of games out. How do you feel he responded today, and you know, to some of the adversity that happened?
You know, on offense, we had basically nothing was effective. So I don't think we can sit back and say one thing about a quarterback or one thing about any side of any position group. So offensively, we were ineffective at best, I would say. Nick, as an individual, fought and battled. You know, when you turn the ball over and you get in those situations that we got into, we'll have to sit back and watch the tape and see what's there. So I'm sure there's a lot to learn from that tape for him and for all of us.
Coach, talk about the three drives in the first quarter that you penetrated down there, but couldn't come away with anything. Talk about those.
Yeah, we had some things going, and that's kind of been the MO of the offense really the whole season. We'll get into positions to be able to start to move the ball, and we'll get the ball going, and we'll self-destruct at times, or a defense will make a nice play or what have you. Today, I believe there's 3 situations where we self-destructed. Again, those administrative penalties in critical times rear their ugly head, and so you know we're either coaching it wrong or we're refusing to learn. So the blame goes right smack dab in the middle of, right between my eyes. So I'll look at it and I'll evaluate it and I'll try to make it better. Got to score points in this league. You got to score points. I don't care what you say. I mean, I get wherever we are. I don't know. We might be the lowest scoring team in the country now. If we're not, we're probably pretty close, especially in conference games.
You mentioned being so thin at corner, and how tough was that against a guy like Rosen who can really throw?
Yeah, it was tough, especially, you know, Larry couldn't come back, obviously, and play after a while there. He tried on it, had to move Devin back over to a corner. Najee had to come back in there in the end, but that's not when Rosen was playing, so he was already icing his arm for next week by that point. It's tough, you know, but again, it's the way it goes. Kendall Hill, he didn't ever ask to come out. He didn't tap out. He didn't bat an eye. He kept on battling. He kept fighting through some things. So the tough guys will survive, and the weak ones won't. And that's where we're at. And if we don't think we're at that point, then we are all sadly mistaken.
You had trouble getting pressure on Rosen. How much of a factor was that?
It was a huge problem, absolutely. Their offensive line locked us down. You know, again, in this league, you're going to have to answer to good coaches every single week, because those guys aren't sitting there watching tape like a bunch of rookies. And, you look at us, and as we continue to go through the season, there's adjustments that are made, and sooner or later you have to win one-on-one battles. You are not going to be able to just all of a sudden make them change protections and not know where you're coming from or guess where you're coming from, especially with an experienced quarterback. And I know he's a freshman, but he's an experienced quarterback. I feel a little bit on the same way on the defensive side of the ball. One week you get outside of the pocket and you move around. Next week, well, they're gonna try to stop you from doing that, and they're gonna have some answers. You're gonna have to be able to react to that. But that being said, the pressure on the quarterback today was, poor.
That 96-yard drive where Nick Parevsky had pinned them inside their own 5 and they go right down and score. How big of a turning point was that, or just talk more like?
Well, I'll tell you what, I thought it was a huge turning point. That you sit back and you look at that. I mean, the crowd was unbelievable in that setting right there. That was as good as environment as I've been around in college football. It was loud. It was energetic. It was juiced. It was awesome, and we couldn't respond. And that's tough. We let them run around, scramble around a couple times, had a chance to make a play. We get a deep one thrown over our head. If you're bringing 4 or 5 guys in that situation and he can sit back there and throw a 70-yard or 60-yard ball or however far it was, that's a problem. So that was a big turning point and very, very disappointing.
When the start of the third quarter here, a lot of fans didn't leave. Is that hard for you to see or
No.
for the players to?
No, you get what you deserve in life, and you get what you deserve in any setting. So our fans were fantastic today, in my opinion, and it's got to be very frustrating for them, just as it is for myself to sit here today. But, like I said, we're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep battling. We're going to keep putting ourselves in a position. We're going to keep recruiting. We're going to keep getting these kids in the program that are sure this is what they want to do, get them better and continue to get them better. But I will not back off the gas pedal. That's how I'm going to be, and I'm never going to stop being that way. And why? Because I know it works. That's why. But, people need to sit back and understand that we're going to work our tails off, but I would not expect anybody to be happy with that performance that was out there today, regardless of all the other things. We will not look for crutches. We will not sit there and say we're this or we're that, or we don't have that, or we're going to do this. I'm looking forward to the day when we walk in that stadium and it's full and we can represent Oregon State the right way. And that, as a football team, didn't happen today, so that's my fault.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.